This wonderful EU morning with our first draft. So we've got the stack, we've got the no names, and we've also got our first ban. It's going to be a Gideon taken out.
So that does remove the Gideon. However, we do end up leaving up the Severog. You got the Rampage potentially left up as well. Muriel, all very high priority picks that are being left up on the board. With Faye being banned out, yeah, all of those are left on the board. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the stack will prioritize. I won't be surprised if they go for that Severog on their first rotation.
Yep, a lot of strong heroes left in the draft. We got the Sevrog, and it's actually interesting. We've focused more on the casters with the early draft bans. So is it possible we're going to see something like a Zinx mid?
Uh, it is possible that we do see it, but if we're looking at low names, chances are they're going to have a more standard mid lane or maybe even a double carry lineup. I know Shadon likes to play carry occasionally in
Oh
that mid
boy.
lane. So we might end up seeing that potentially. But yeah, Muriel and Rampage, the good solid rotation coming out for no names does secure their carry duo. So with that Muriel, and they have a really strong jungle in import on that Rampage.
Now we do need to talk about that Sevrog. It's been one of the standout heroes from our action yesterday. A pretty terrifying force in the 1v1 lane, and we talked quite a bit about it, the stack having picked it up here. They've got a pretty amazing tool for themselves, and they also have some good backup as well in terms of the Belka and the Quang.
So it does look like they're sticking the Sevrog into the jungle with that Quang pickup. While Sev is arguably a very strong beast in the solo lane, can pretty much dominate in that 1v1. Still very solid jungler. Doesn't get as many stacks in the jungle as he would in that solo lane, but his gank pressure is still very solid. He used to be a very favored jungle pick in the past, and his kit does allow him to get off some incredible ganks. So I'm not surprised there from the stacks still electing to play in there.
Yeah, and also those mana changes make him a lot more effective as a hero and a ganker. So depending which side the stack have picked up here, he could be a pretty potent force against the 2v2 as well. No names, they've managed to pick themselves up the crunch, and they have a Muriel to bolster that as well. How do you feel about the Muriel in terms of the other supports left on the board? How do you think she's faring in the current meta?
I think Miro is by far the strongest out there. The Consecrated Ground offers so much protection. The slow as well with the power, just you can dominate the duo lane, constantly pushing out. And we are seeing what looks to be the Zinx support potentially coming out from the stack with Wraith. So that duo combo set up, which I quite like. Just Bellica in the mid lane, still very good in the mid lane. I mean, there's the option you can have Zinx in the mid with Bellica support as well. So it's a nice flex. They're hiding who's going into what lane from the stack, which I do like.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we've seen the Wraith in this PCL. We definitely saw him quite a bit in some of the more recent ones with the changes to his health scaling and stuff like that. But now we see him picked up by the stack, and it's not really beside a Narbasher what you typically see beside the Wraith. So we'll see how he's able to combo up here. But we are through our first draft of the day. Gems, what do you say we get started with the first game in 3, 2, 1, go? Having a bit of difficulty finding my mouse as I try to start up the in-game timer. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first game of the day, the stack versus no names. We're going to go through and start by introducing the stack on the left side. We've got Yuso Rudude in the mid lane playing a Belka. Weal will be handling the Sevrog. We've got Malix, he'll be playing a Wraith. We've got Tangruner, going to be handling the support Zinx. And then finally, Arthlet will be handling a Quang.
And on the side of no names, we have Shadon on that Revenant mid, Import on that Rampage, Milk Drunk on the Murdoch, Ray on that Mural, and Nick Eagle in that offlane Crunch.
So Grunch going over to the offlane. Nick Eagle's definitely been one of the standout 1v1 players of this PCL. So we'll see how he fares right here against the Quang. Definitely needs to get through those first couple of levels, but he could definitely be a potent force, which we've come to see him be for most of the PCL.
Yeah, I love the way he set up this initial lane. He slowed down the minions' approach to the lane, so the wave's going to be pushing towards him. So he's going to have a nice safer lane here on this crunch. We were talking about Nick Eagle. He loves these 1v1s. Even in the past when we didn't have the sort of standard setup, even 2v1s, Nick Eagle would always go for skirmishes in the early game. He'd always look for fights, sort of crazy aggression. And this meta really does suit him very well. And we've been seeing him performing very well with this 1v1 setup, potentially going even for kills in the 1v1 matchup.
In the 2v2, we've got Tangruna trying to hide behind the tower, was taken down within inches of his life as the Zinx there. And he's just going to go for an early recall. Nice early win for Wright and Milk Trunk, early taking advantage of the 2v2.
Yeah, this is just the power of the poke Muriel provides. That Q ability slow the output damage along with the consecrated ground. It's very, very difficult for any opposing dual laner to duel with. You can't really duel because not only is it providing damage, it's also shielding themselves. And it looks like we are attempting to go for a gank here, but this is the thing. You don't have the damage output to get through those shields in the early stages.
Oh my gosh, Malik's has the first blood here. Tangruna tries to get something in return, but the shields from Ray are not going to be enough. Eventually they do take down the Murdoch for it, but the first blood still goes to the NoNames, and that's definitely a foreboding warning for the stack.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's a really good start here, coming out here from the side of stack. They do get that kill. It is traded 1-for-1 though on the board, so still all is equal.
We also have a rotation from Import over to the right lane. He does have the chance to pick up the amplification buff over here in the river, so he has a couple choices with how he can use this, but looks like he still wants to put some pressure onto Arthlet. We have Nick Eagle up to level 3 and no wards up on this side at all. In terms of warding, there's not the usual wards that we generally see on the left side either. So here comes the Rock, ready to go for the Quang. He's going to try to dodge it, but there's only so much you can dodge. Import gives him a nice smackaroo in the face, and Arthlet, does he actually get away? Forward crunch in by Nick Eagle, but he's going to be the one to clean it up, and that's going to be a nice little kill there for the crunch, continuing to get him stacked up in this lane.
Very strong kill from Import. Nice little gang. A lot of people will be put a lot of focus onto the duo lane in terms of ganking, but with Import having this strong side jungle towards the solo lane, he's elected to try get this Nick Eagle rolling here, which is going to be very, very good for them because once this crunch can win that 1v1 in a much more comfortable fashion, they need to then send a lot of resources over to deal with it. The stack will then be pressured to potentially waste resources, and then that frees up space for the duo lane of NoNames.
It seems like NoNames are currently winning every single lane here. There is going to be a back it up onto Milk Drunk, but Tangruna still is in so much trouble. The root isn't going to hit onto anybody. Ray's trying to go for the kill onto the carry, but Malik isn't going to fall on Weow. He might be able to get the kill onto Milk Drunk, who's running over towards the river. The snipes are still coming through. Can Milk Drunk find the kill onto the Zinx? One more hit will do it. Is he going to get it? Yeah, the buckshot will be able to take the kill there in the river, and Malix just cannot get enough distance on those snipes. Meanwhile, Weo does manage to pick up a kill onto the Muriel, so one support is going to fall for another, but I don't know if that's where the action is going to stop. Seismic Assault, Void Bomb onto Shadon inside the river. Yuso Root Dude is just forced to drop everything and run, as the Revenant was looking pretty scary there.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but if we're looking at the distribution of the gold, we saw We Are picking up the kills there, whereas on the other side, you saw Milk Drug grabbing the kills. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. One team's got the jungler who's got the extra bit of power, and the other has it on their carry, which will help with the current objectives. But having a really beefy frontliner can break the difference in these fights.
It's time to get lost in the other team's jungle. NoNames are ready to try to take it away from the stack. Weow is getting forced away. Import looking for the next cooldown on his rock. He's going to smack down onto Tangruna, and he's going to throw that rock as well. Difficult to keep that Zinx alive at just level 2, and Shadow's going to go in for his first reckoning of the game and easily get that gold bonus.
Very, very good for Shadon right there. He's already jumped up to 6.8k gold just because of that kill. That gold bonus really, really going to boost his power here in this mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. You see him at 7k gold already on the net worth. That's a pretty substantial lead, and he is the highest net worth member of his team. So definitely putting some work in there on the mid lane. And, well, a lot of people might have thought that Caster was more of a Marauder type carry, but it looks like he's putting in some work as a caster here.
Yeah, the only concern I will have on the side of NoNames is if they do end up getting pressured under their towers, they are going to be lacking a lot of wave clear to push out these waves. It's going to be primarily relying on these two carries getting up close to the wave and clearing it out, which is a little bit risky if they are put under pressure. But as we're seeing, they're not allowing themselves to be put into that situation. They're on the aggression the entire way through, and it's been working out very well for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like there's not really a whole lot of lanes that they've left undominated here. I would say that their 2v2 lane could probably get a little bit more work done. They've been a little bit too susceptible to the other team's ganks. Weow's been doing some good work making sure that he gets over to that lane to make sure that his carry gets a good start. But the rest of the lanes are in shambles, so perhaps he wants to spend some time elsewhere.
Yeah, the thing is, you really do want to get that duo lane going. It's primarily the best spot for you as a jungler. However, you can go for this mid lane gank as well. Your team has got control of that river now. As you can see, we now has got a clean path into either mid or that duo lane with the ward coverage being set up here by Tangruna. So it's up to him whether or not he chooses which path to take, but the options are there, and it's going to be interesting to see if we get maybe an early tower dive here with this buff.
We also see that Milk Trunks picked up the black buff. What are the benefits on putting this buff onto your carry early?
Well, the main advantages of it is that you can just keep yourself safe in a fight. And it's great for chasing. It's one of those things you really want to do as a deterrent, so that no one can actually gank you. You can constantly auto while backing, turning around, walking away, or you can use it to chase down kills, as we might be seeing here.
Oh, a lot of disorganization from the stack early, and it's going to lead to Milk Trunk not really taking a hold of Harass there, and he's going right for Tangruna. He does have level 5. He could get a lot with his long armor of the law. Going for it. Not just yet. He's going to think about it a little bit more. He definitely has the long range if he wants it. Tangruna at the back, trying to hide behind the tower. Milk Trunk looking for the ankle. Is he going to be able to use that ultimate anytime soon? Look like he's just going to let them escape for now, having a little bit of mercy on his opponents. But still, even with all the pressure that the stack are trying to put onto the duo lane, this 2v2 for NoNames, they're still doing a whole lot of work.
Yeah, they're very, very strong there. Even though they were pressured under their own tower, they're coming out ahead in a 3v2 fight. You can see that with the black buff, the chase potential from Milk. If it wasn't for that ultimate coming out from Malix, we would have seen Tangruna most likely have died there.
Yeah, it was a very close engagement, and they really did need that peel from Weow to make sure that all the heroes got back safely. And it just goes to show how much this duo lane for NoNames is dominating. Meanwhile, on the river, Shadow will get caught out by the Subjugate into a second assault. The ROF comes through, and it's just going to keep Sharon safe for now. But Nick Eagle, once in, he's going to get the uppercut onto Weow and will probably back out as a result. Judgment of the Heavens misses onto everything, and both teams will just disengage. But man, from a fight that started in the mid lane, Shadow looked like he was pretty much no less off than he was before.
Yeah, it's just the power of the reversal of fortune coming out from Ray here. Does put pressure across the entire map. You can see the issues the stack are having. Weow and Yoserud were looking for this fight. They thought they'd caught out Shadow on the Revenant, and he was out of position, but Reversal of Fortune completely kept it safe.
It's a little bit of a strange issue there. Malix and Tangruna, they're comboing up for the kill on the Murdoch. I was wondering why he was so high health underneath his tower. Turns out he was much lower than that. We'll try to get that fixed up for you guys as much as possible. But this is going to be interesting here, as Ray wants to chase down two members with Shadow coming in from the side. Do they manage to take down Malix? They've got him quite low on health, and it's going to be Ray able to take the kill. Now Shadow wants to go further. He's going to get the obliterate, and that's exactly what it does, killing off the Zinks in the lane. They get the revenge kills for the Murdoch.
I mean, it was looking great from Stack. They took advantage of the Reversal of Fortune being out. They pressured Milk Trunk. However, 1v1 Nick Eagle here, taking out the Quang. This is the power of Nick Eagle. Like, if you give him a little bit of an advantage, he's going to keep pushing it, and here's just the first tower down.
Right now, we're just seeing Weow forced to do a little bit too much around the map, and all of his lanes are seemingly dilapidated. So, I mean, right now, the stack, they just have to go back to their roots, figure out their strategy for the rest of the game, because they are just so far behind. We'll take a second right here to fix some of the bugs while Gems goes over the net worth currently.
Yeah, so at the moment, we can see there's a fairly substantial lead here for the side of NoNames. You can see them there at 51,000 gold on the board. Builds coming out, looking fairly straightforward. Nick Eagle is sitting on that possessed striking, has also grabbed himself that numbing rogue, which makes that matchup even more in favor of him if he can just negate a lot of that Quang damage, reducing his attacks.
Gems, you're making us miss kills. They're getting even more over on the mid lane as Yusa Dude is going to fall. And we've got a whole lot of NoNames members just waiting here, ready to go onto the stack. Tangrooner and the Fury, the Heavens in from Arthlet, they're ready to go, but what exactly are they doing? We will get a Colossal Blow underneath the tower, but there are still minions there to tank it up. Ray will come in, or thinking about the reversal of fortune, but it seems like he doesn't even need it. His team is completely healthy over on the mid lane. They don't even have their rampage here. They'll continue with the push. Zinx is going to put down her magic carpet, but it's still not looking very effective at all. Shadon has a stinging buff, and they're ready to take the tier 1 tower down. That'll finish off all the tier 1 towers, and Nick Eagle's looking for more. Seismic Assault comes through, but Yusa Rudin is surrounded by everybody. He's going to fall in the mid lane. Look at all those gorgeous gadget pictures. She looking mighty fine here on the mid lane.
Very strong play here. They're most likely going to turn around, go for this Fangtooth, and guarantee this lead they've built up for themselves. It's already sitting at about 10,000. This will send it up to about 15,000 when they get secured. However, the stack aren't going to let them get it that easily.
Yeah, they don't want to let them, but there's already a stinging buff onto Nick Eagle, so we'll see how far the stack actually want to commit. Right now, NoNames, they are going for a back, and I don't think that anybody really wants to initiate onto the Fangtooth right now, just because it would take a little bit too long for both sides. Ray will come through on the Muriel as the stack started up, but is this really the right idea for them? Ray may have to be careful. There is more than enough crowd control on the stack in order to kill off Ray. But actually, surprisingly, the first Fangtooth of the game will go over to the stack, so they managed to take advantage of the fact that NoNames backed, and they'll be able to get the first buff on their side.
Is Import disconnected, or is that just a bug on my side?
I think
he hasn't been moving for a while.
Yeah.
Which does show why that NoNames have been playing a little bit safer than normal. They are playing with a man down, which is a bit rough, but it happens, and let's hope they can hold out long enough for Import to get back into this.
Looks like this will not be the last PCL plagued by disconnect issues. Hopefully he can get back in time and maybe put a little bit more hurting onto the stack. But maybe this is exactly the handicap that NoNames need to show themselves that they are truly the boss of Paragon here.
Yeah, they've been doing still very well with this man down. You can see they're not giving up. They have hopes that Import is going to come back. In time, he will be behind a little bit, so he's going to feel more like a support rampage at that point. He's not going to have the power to be able to duel anyone. He's going to be very reliant on that rock, but hopefully that is enough for NoNames to get them into any good position.
Well, it looks like Nick Eagle wants to duel. He's going to get the ROF on top of him. Arthlet taking quite a bit of damage from it. Can Ray help out enough? Nick Eagle's getting low. He's all of the damage here. The Subjugate is going to keep him back, but it doesn't even matter. The long arm of the law is going to find him, and you definitely can't run away. Nick Eagle goes underneath the tower with the forward crunch, and Ray is tanking it up all this time. They get the 2-0, and it looks like they hardly even broke a sweat there. I know I'm sweating.
Nick Eagle is putting everyone on his back this game. 4v5, he has to do everything with this crunch, and he's not going to let his team lose even 4v5.
Okay, well, Ray will go down. We'll see if Nick Eagle is able to get something in return. But meanwhile, on the other lane, they're chasing down Tangrooner, and the Obliterate, the last vestiges of it, are going to take him down, while Nick Eagle manages to find the kill on to... Well, it looks like Yusaru is bugged out, but I guess he did die. In any case, Nick Eagle just going ham here on the right lane.
Yeah, he manages to secure himself 3 kills in this 4v5 situation on the map. They're just utilizing the power of Muriel shields to keep them in favor of in most of these fights. Even though they are a man down, it does look like Import is now back. They haven't actually lost too much, but there is a Fangtooth that they haven't taken, and they still have the gold lead on their side. Granted, it has dropped a little bit compared to before, but still there, and hopefully they can keep using this for their advantage.
Yeah, hopefully it continues to work out for them. They do need to take a little bit time to get Import back into the game, but he is at least back in the game, so maybe he'll be able to get his net worth up substantially to make a difference in these fights, if his team even needs it. I think at this point it's just a body that they need.
Yeah, just the stun, the ability to start a fight or get a pick in some way. Shadow does look like he might be caught out here in his mid lane.
It's possible. Tangreen ready with the Ricochet stun. Can they get it? They're going to miss the Seismic Assault, and they only managed to hit the Subjugate. And the Judgment of the Heavens, are they still going to go for this one? Maybe the Clank goes, but nope, Shadow goes into the Reckoning, and he's going to go right after Tangreener. Seems like the Zinx is bugged out as well, so he's just going to tell her to get off his lawn. And, well, Yusarudu continues on the Milk Drunk. Looks like nobody's taking damage at all, but they're going to continue to try to keep hitting them. Meanwhile, it's a take on the Fangtooth as, looks like the stack, we're losing a little bit of interest into NoNames there. Consecrated Ground is going to keep Import and Ray alive. And I think people are dying, but I can't see them at all. Malix is going to be taking quite a bit of damage here. Finally, we can see a couple of damage numbers coming through. They still have vision of him thanks to Import's Outlander Scout, which he managed to keep even through the disconnect. I guess that's one reason why the disconnect helps him. Meanwhile, though, we've got Sevrog and Quang trying to play up against Nick Eagle, who is continuing to go ham against the tankiest members of the stack side. And he's finally going to be leashed over to a sword. Not really the best place that Mad Dog Nick Eagle wants to be in, but he's getting some help from his team now. Weao got baited into a fight by Tangreener, and Shadow's going to chase down the Zinx as well, looking to get another kill. I don't know how low the Zinx is, but it cannot be very healthy at all. Nick Eagle is going to continue to chase, gets the knock up, and I believe that should be a kill. Shadow's just going to get that last little hit in there. And finally, it looks like we are going to get an OP out of that fight from NoNames, or I guess continued domination.
Yeah, they've been doing very well, even with the man down for a good couple of minutes. You saw the stack not able to really take advantage of that. They still kept losing these skirmishes. What I would have liked to have seen from the stack is maybe force 5v4 full team fights rather than going for 2v2s and 3v3s. Take advantage of their man up in these fights to try and get something from it, but they didn't. They weren't able to, and you could see Import managed to get back in time and still even up the game.
Yeah, he's still doing work even though he is substantially behind pretty much everybody in the game. Right now we have a push on to all three lanes from the NoNames. Nick Eagle, he is just trying to battle it out, prove that he is the biggest, baddest robot on the block. Eventually he's going to be knocked back by the Sevrog.
He's been doing very well this game. 5-0-4. Has been sitting on that same build, sitting at 22,000 gold. Very, very strong showing up from him. He is way ahead of everyone on the board in terms of power, in terms of gold spent as well. I don't think there's going to be much they can do to really kill him, especially with the mural there, with that reversal of fortune, with the consecrated ground, giving Nick Eagle all the extra health he does need to output all the damage. And yeah, I feel like it's going to be rough trying to kill him at any point now.
It's just been so rough, and when you have that Muriel bolstering the crunch behind him, it's just so difficult to kill the big damage dealer. So it's almost like right now the stack needs to focus on taking down the backline of NoNames so that, you know, they fare better in the fights. But at the moment it's just so difficult to get to that. You have Muriel able to go around with the reversal of fortune. You've got Revenant able to go into a Reckoning anytime you go onto him, so it's almost like you need to go onto the Murdoch or nothing, and he's done a pretty good job of staying elsewhere on the map and getting his farm his own way.
Yeah, he can sit pretty far back. He doesn't have to be up close and personal in a lot of these fights. You got Shadow who will be jumping through the Shadow plane sort of into his own realm, jumping, doing those sort of 1v1 fights, so he can position himself using his ultimate. Milkdrunk could just kind of sit near the back, safely hitting whoever tries to jump onto him for the most part. Doesn't have to go chasing the backlines of Wraith or anything. Can just focus on Weao or Tangruna, and that's been working out very well for him.
And look at this ward coverage from NoNames. They have 3 wards in the river area on the left side of the map, completely making sure that Milk Trunk is so safe whenever he goes for this farm. It's It's actually ridiculous to even think that he could get ganked at this point just because he has so much vision. The wards do eventually go away, but Milk Drunk is so smart and he knows the timings that it takes to get over to the lane that he just gets back whenever there's any semblance of difficulty for him. Now he does manage to run just about into Weow and Malix, but the rest of his team is there. It's completely okay, and now it's time to sound the retreat for the stack, and they will manage to get back. And while all that is happening, NoNames are thinking about going for a Fangtooth. They're not really hard committing onto it right now. Nick Eagle is still looking for the initiation, but his team is still trying to go for the Fangtooth. Nick Eagle, he's going to get the forward crunch out. They're going to go for Weow. Can they manage to take down the Sevrog? In fact, they do. The Reckoning being enough to secure the kill, and now Shadowrun is looking for his next foe, but he's actually going for some positioning on the backside of this one. He goes for Tank Gruner. Look at that positioning from Shadowrun. It's actually ridiculous, and he takes out the support, and there's nothing that the stat can do. Nick Eagle is going to chase down Malix, will get hit with the get back. So we'll see if oh my gosh, that rock nearly hit almost onto Malix. Meanwhile, Shadowrun continues to get some amazing positioning here. It looks like he's invisible this whole time. He's going to kill off the Wraith. This Revenant is absolutely broken at this point.
Yeah, he's very, very far ahead. He's made full well use of the gold lead that he'd been taken, and now this is going to be a prime going over the side of NoNames. They were 4v5 at one point in the game, but that did not stop them at all. They still have managed to keep this lead throughout the game. It is sitting at about 15k. This will set them up a little bit more. Prime buff is going to allow them to potentially push this in here, but Nick Eagle as well, he has been on form. He's been setting up all these fights the entire time, using that knock up, the little mini stun very, very effectively, and there isn't really much that Stack has been able to do this entire game against him.
I'm almost thinking that the Gao Slam song should start playing here for Nick Eagle, who's been taking on basically the entire team all by his lonesome here with minimal help from anybody else. He's just been a complete and utter boss so far in this game.
Yeah, he has, and now with the Prime buff activated, we're going to see NoNames set up these waves, try to get all the three waves sort of pushing in, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to push down this the furthest side away from the Prime.
I don't know if that blink was lucky or calculated from Yusaru, dude, but he does manage to get away from Nick Eagle there, who's just looking for any fight he can take at the moment. No inhibs taken just yet for the NoNames, but they're definitely looking pretty hard for it, putting a ward right in front of Arthlet as he runs through his own weak side jungle.
Yeah, here is the lane setup coming out from NoNames. They're going to have all the three waves pushing. You can have Ray with Muriel sitting elsewhere. He doesn't have to necessarily be anywhere near the team. Can just be a bit further away. And this looks like the sort of push you do when you try to get multiple inhibs coming out right now.
You can actually see the stack stuck behind a rock and a crunch right now, as you got Rampage on one side of the field, Crunch on the other, and they have to defend something. They're almost stuck in the middle lane right now, trying to figure out what they want to do with this.
Yeah, and that is going to just be a free tier 2. They have just given it up here. It is a safe bet. If they're going to look for this fight, it will have to be under their inhibitor.
So you got Crunch pushing down the left lane, Muriel keeping mid down, and you've got three heroes over and right with, of course, the Reversal of Fortune ready at any moment to come on and help whoever ends up needing it. So it's almost like the stack need to have a two-pronged assault, and it's definitely not going to work at all as Nick Eagle, the 1v1 hero, kills off a Sevrog, and he's ready to keep going on to the inhib.
Yeah, he's going to carry on with his aggression. We're seeing this other inhib being pushed down here with Import going in with the Enrage.
Import gets big. He was disconnected for much of the match, but he's going to continue to go ham in the Dallas store. We've got Reckoning and the Obliterate onto a Belkin, making sure that she's a non-factor in the fight. Malix is cleaned up off the table. It is all but one here for the NoNames. The stack really cannot stand up against this one, and just like a Jenga tower, they're going to fall on over. The rock goes onto the inhib. The death goes onto the Quang, and that is about all she wrote. We'll see how long NoNames want to make this one go out, but they're definitely primed to take game number 1 of this best of 3 semifinal.
They did fantastic. They had a disconnect for a couple of minutes at the early stages of the game, but still managed to keep their lead throughout the entire OT. I really would have liked to have seen the stack take advantage of that 4v5 situation, even if it was for a few minutes, but in the end, NoNames held out really, really well, and they full well deserved this first victory.
Absolutely. So they'll take game number 1 of the best of 3. What a performance from them. And this definitely bodes well for them as they move through the event. Now, hopefully, they have a couple less disconnects on their side. You see Import going 0-0 and 5 at the end of it all. At least he had enough net worth to best his own Muriel. But, the stack, they have to fix a couple of things before they can get into game number 2.
Yeah, they need to change up what they're doing. There was no real pressure at any point. We kept seeing we are trying to go for these 3v2 fights against the duo lane, but was because of the power of mirror that he wasn't really able to get much out of it. And maybe you want to change up your ban, your strategy, force NoNames to have a different duo lane setup, one that you can gank a little bit easier, potentially take away this Muriel if possible in the pick ban phase, and set up a way so that you can actually try and punish this duo lane. Don't let them to get this power that they had throughout the early stages of the game.
So with that being said, we are going to move on to game number 2, and we'll just have to see if the stack can change their strategy, change the draft a little bit, maybe get a win out of the next one. Thanks for sticking around, guys. We'll have 100% more game sound after the break.